What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen, a joint venture between the Grappling Hour and Inside BJJ. I hope you're having a great day. What is this? It's a Wednesday, and you're seeing this show, and you might be asking yourself, why on a Wednesday? And I guess the real answer is, why not? It doesn't make that big of a difference to you, does it? Now, yes, you did not see us on last week. Unfortunately, the boys were busy. And listen, I'd come on and do the show solo, but that's not the Bullpen. Today, I am happy to be joined by one of our two co-hosts who is chomping at the bit to get back on the show. He put together a board. Say something nice to him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
What's going on, Raph? I'm doing great, man. I remember a time when Craig Jones was a dork, Gordon Ryan was skinny, and Gary Tonin was funny, and guys like Raph Esparza and Tim Freeman were the kings of jiu-jitsu media. So, yeah, I'm glad to be back, man. It's always a great and shoot the shit a little bit.
When you say kings of jiu-jitsu media, it might be important to add that we were the only jiu-jitsu media at the time. Like,
hey, listen, you don't need to say that, man.
I do, because there's no way I can tell that story without reminding people the real horror of certain aspects of that whole scenario. My wife and I went to go see a show at the Orpheum recently, and she was looking at me. She's like, "What's wrong? What are you doing?" And I go, "I used to work here."
Yeah. What a great theater also.
Yeah, and it's a great theater, but she's looking at me like, "What's the matter?" And I go, "That's where they used to stop me." She's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "They would say, 'Are you credentialed?' And then I'd say, 'Yes, I am.' And they'd go, 'No, you're not.' And I'd go, 'Yes, I am.' It's jiu-jitsu. Who else is credentialed?" And it wasn't that I wasn't. It's just that they didn't have a process for it. And I remembered having to argue with handlers even back then. So it's so nice to know that after all these years, not much has changed, even though the fighters themselves or the grapplers themselves recognize us way more. They're like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing. Do you have a wristband?" And you're like, "Motherfucker, just..."
Yeah. You know, it took one or two shows down there to realize you better buddy up with Donna Gonzalez. If you don't know Donna, you ain't getting shit. If you do know Donna, you could get anything you want in there, wristband or not, but you better drop her name.
Yeah, I used to be in a place where I would just walk in and just be like, "Hey, listen, can I ask you a question?" They're like, "What?" I was like, "Who else has come up here asking what I've asked?" They're like, "Well, if they're a part of a team." And I was like, "Cool. Do they have a camera on them? Do they have a microphone? What do you think we're doing here, guy?" And they'd like literally be so embarrassed by the end of the conversation that I'd be like, "I don't want to make you feel bad. I believe everybody should be treated well at their work. Just don't make it difficult." And some of my favorite interviews of all time at that Orpheum. But nonetheless, Tim, there's been a lot of stuff going on. And you know, we didn't even get to the chance of adding this to the board. But it was something that I sent both you and Kevin, RIP, I hope he's good, that crossed my line. And it was that Mika Galvão joins the Brazilian army. So, Tim, what exactly does that mean? Like, when they say he's joined the Brazilian army, like, what are we supposed to do with this information?
You know, that's a great question, because as soon as I read that byline, I thought, oh, there's a new jiu-jitsu split. There's a new team called the Brazilian Army. Mika's left his team, and he's going to train in the Brazilian Army. And then I read a little further. I'm like, oh, no, he's actually going to join the Brazilian Army. I don't know what the terms are. And I actually, now that I think about it, no disrespect to Brazil. I love Brazil. Great martial art, great people. I've never really heard the Brazilian Army mentioned ever. This might be the first time in my life I've ever heard those two words put together. I didn't even know there was a Brazilian Army, Raph. So I don't know what it actually means. Like, maybe everyone's in the Brazilian Army in Brazil, right? I have no clue. I don't know what they do. They drill arm bars and eat acai? I have no idea.
You know, I've been watching a lot of The White Lotus. as I'm sure the rest of America has been. And there was a moment where somebody on there mentioned the fact that they showed elements of Muay Thai fighting. So there was a plot point where they go, should we go to the Muay Thai fights? And I thought, oh, that's kind of a thing to do. That's not just in our world where I teach at an MMA gym and a lot of our guys talk about going to Thailand. Yeah, this kind of resonates with me. And somebody, when they were talking about filming there, said, well, you know, they don't really actually go to war there. They've really never been to war for a long period of time. And the history buff in me had to take a moment and go, is that true? Wait. And then I started having to do what you did with the Brazilian army, and you go, have they? Damn, I think I must have missed that part. You know, so I had the same feeling you did with Mika in that regard. I guess the question is here, is he just in the reserves? And if that's the case, reserves, because for him, in perpetuity, he just might be enlisted, even though it might not be active.
Yeah, if I'm Flow Grappling, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. We just signed this guy to a contract. Is there a no military clause in this contract? Or is there a clause in the contract that says you can be relieved from the contract due to military duty? Now, think about, I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but I'm saying, what if he was?
I mean, it's your move, Gordon Ryan, if you're going to enlist in the reserves. But I feel like Gordon's done some reserve cosplay with Tim Kennedy that I've seen. So I don't pay attention to know enough. But I do love the fact that you do have people now, when they go to Flow, that are like, this contract looks good, but I'd like to pass this counter offer back. So you want to be in the reserves? Just saying, you could add another 0 there, and you can have the exclusive rights to Rafa Esparza. Like, I don't know if this works that way, but I'm always skeptical of all things. But nonetheless, that was one of the big headlines that I saw that garnered my attention. But Tim, there is a board that requires our presence, so why don't we go ahead and transition to that? And I'm very intrigued. A lot of these articles and notes that we put on here were from a week ago, but they still resonate true. So why don't we go with the first topic up here? There were a ton of upsets that happened at EBI 23. And if you were our good friend, Brandon McCaffrey, you could not stop saying how this had to be one of the most surprising EBIs of all time, if not the most surprising. I ask you this, Tim, what struck out the most to you in terms of upsets at the most recent EBI 23?
You know, I think it has to be Mauricio Rios. This is a guy, we saw him at Combat Jiu-Jitsu. He looked good, right? He comes out at EBI 23, has to face Matt Mash, who's basically a kid who won the last Combat Jiu-Jitsu. And he not just beats him, but he beats him like does very well. There was some back and forth, but it wasn't like Rios was just getting ran through and he pulled a sub out. He looked good, man. He was on fire. And then I believe he beat John Chandler as well and took Chandler out, which is not an easy task at all. Heel hook submissions. He looked good. He ran into a train against Damian Balderrama. Balderrama looked fantastic as well. He's an Atos athlete. He came into it with a little bit of like, hey, watch this guy, but I don't think anyone expected him to win in the end. But for sure, Rios just looked amazing, man. I think he really put himself on the map. He doesn't look like a fighter. He looks like a dude that you'd see in the bakery or the grocery store or the bank or something like that. But damn, he was impressive, man.
No, I have to say, I just had the opportunity to chat with Damian Balderrama. So that's an interview that's going up to everybody from my Patreon over at patreon.com/grappling hour very, very soon. But I was very surprised because he mentioned something that will take you back, if not me, that he was at EBI 3 as youthful competitor back then. So he was one of those teen presentations. And now, 20 EBIs later, this is now your champion. And for me, I told him, I was like, well, I was there covering that young man. And I have now just Matt Damon aged in front of you. But that's not true. I still look the same. I would tell you this, though. Having done coverage for this long, I found it very interesting to see those teen matches that served as a buffer back then to give rest to the actual tournament competitors. Now coming full circle means that these people who get these special matches, and sometimes they're a little disappointed, maybe they didn't get in the tournament, or maybe they didn't know what they're getting into. It's like, no, but I mean, look at this. If you stay the course, you can be this kid. You can be that guy who now wins the tournament and etches their name in history with these other EBI winners from previous incarnations. So I was very happy for the young man, and it was a great conversation. I got to know a lot about him, but there were a few things that I had to tell him just in terms of making those submissions look a little too easy. So I did take him to task for that, because I don't know if you saw some of the ways that he was submitting people, but I was like, brother, there was one where he had a single leg that he was holding, and it looked like he was going to face plant, but he didn't face plant, and instead ended up with an armbar. And I'm like, where do you get off, kid? Like, if it looks like I'm going to face plant, I'm probably going to face plant. Like, that's my jiu-jitsu. So you coming in and being like, ooh, voila, an armbar, was like, this is disrespectful.
Yeah, not a way to impress the old heads, but if I could do it, listen, if I was that good, I would be a jerk. You guys would hate me. I would just be stunting on people every time I trained with them, man.
That is fair. But do you have any other notes or observations from that? Because it was a very, very good event, and I was very happy with it.
Yeah, I think it was a real good event. The combat jiu-jitsu is a style, has really started to mature in a very entertaining, watchable way. I really got that sense watching the production of this event, and it felt like the athletes brought it. The production was great, and it's a very good product, man. I think it was a great event, and it really sets the stage for what's going to come up next, because I believe 23 was like lightweights, or I can't remember the weight class, 155s or somewhere around there. So I'm anxious to see, like, 185, 190 guys get after it.
And of course, you cannot forget the finish by one Dominic Lobo that broke viral sensationness all around. Like, it was very cool to see him get that finish. So I'm sure we'll have more to say about that in the near future, as he is also a guest on the Grappling Hour very soon. We're in the process of doing that one in person. Although I have to say this, when I reached out to Dom, who I consider a friend, I was like, hey man, do you want to come do an interview? And he was like, yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great. I'll bring Mike John. I was like, not interested. You know what?
Yeah, don't bring him. He's Mike John is.
But what a fast way to get me to go, you know what? I rescind the offer. Because I was right there with him being like, wow.
Like the
what?
Nicest guy in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he's all right. But if you think about it, I was so excited because this was a guy we've had on Subversive that has made a very, very good showing there. And on the last Subversive was very close to getting Cody Davis with that go-go clinch that he was using. So I was very pleased. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, we believe you, bro. We believed you the first time. But now we see this viral finish. Congratulations to you. And I say, come do the show. And he's like, damn, dude, I would love to. That'd be amazing. I'm going to bring Mike John. Can you not? Because that would be cool. At least cooler. Nonetheless, we move on to our next topic here as we transition. Congratulations to everybody from EBI. We appreciate you guys. And big shout out to that crew. Tim, you brought this one up, and it seems to be something that was happening over at Main Character Jiu-Jitsu. There was a lot of drama. Now, this is where I have to ask you, maybe phraseology here, but it says 4 ways. Okay. Pullouts. Okay. And slaps. Now, I've seen this DVD rental, sir.
You got to go behind the curtain.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that when we do phraseology on here, you do realize that you're putting it into the teleprompter and Ron Burgundy has to read it. So, just for my sake, help a brother out. But nonetheless, tell us what exactly these very cryptic messages mean for main character jiu-jitsu that happened last week.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. There was a pullout on the main event, like the night before Andy Varela backs out of the main event. So it puts that he was the main match, right? He's the draw. So it puts that whole thing in jeopardy in terms of a main event. So Kamoy comes up with this idea to have a four-way, which was a 4-man tournament. So they take Varela's opponent, who was Wallison Oliveira, I believe, and I believe they took 2 other matches that were on the card and they sandwiched those guys into a 4-man tournament. It was Sam Schwartzapfel, Ethan Vistro, and one other person. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. So they ran a four-way tournament. Wallison won the tournament. So, kudos to him. And then slaps, of course, this is something we've been talking about for a minute now. This was Katie Bochnik against Katie Laablali. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. I apologize. And this was a stipulation match that said, like, hey, whoever loses this match has to take 3 slaps to the face. And Katie gave the slaps, and Katie took the slaps, and she took them like a champ. I think these ladies still hate each other. I don't think the slaps resolved anything. Maybe it put the beef on hold, but for sure the beef is still there. It's just going to be moldy beef when they pull it out later, which is probably worse. And I didn't put Ladyboy in here because there wasn't enough room to have 4 ways pull out slaps and Ladyboys. But there was Team Legends against Team Ladyboys, which I didn't pick the name. I'm just reporting the news. There's a team-on-team matchup, and Team Legends won that match. So main character jiu-jitsu this time, they had a lot of swerves, but they pulled it off. So good job to them.
Okay. Well, to Team Ladyboy, I guess the question is, why the name? And then I guess to everybody else, what were your feelings about a name like that? Because I feel like there are certain trigger and buzzwords that happen within the jiu-jitsu community where they go, I don't care what the punchline is, but you said autism and jiu-jitsu and I'm in. And I go, literally it's just turning into the aristocrats. Like, however you just land on the punchline, it's like, and ladyboys. And people are like, and I go, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's part 1. Part 2, you were right in the sense of you don't think the slap solved anything. So this is a good statistic to run, but it does seem that we have evidence that slaps do not solve crime. Like in this particular case, these 2 ladies were like, it will be finalized, we hate each other, and these slaps are going to settle it. Slaps happen, still hate each other. And my favorite thing I see on there is, they even put in the description, they're like, these ladies hate each other. And I go, correction, I still think it's present tense. It looks like they still will continue to hate each other going forward. So I don't know what to do with any of this because I feel like I see this slap thing happening. And I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but I just thought, I don't care. And I think it is a creative way to get people invested in a feud, but I can tell you, I don't think I was any more or less invested. I just saw what it was as a clip and said, okay, they don't like each other. That sounds good. Now, if only they had a match. Oh, they did? I thought that's what settles it. So now it feels like every match has to have like a stipulation at the end of it. It's like, oh, it's a grudge match. And you go, oh, okay, cool. What happens? Well, afterwards, they get in shopping carts and try to ram each other with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to have a struggle session after you lose the match.
Like,
yeah.
Okay. In this next one, they're going to both go up against Alien versus Predator after the match. Like, Sure.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep coming up with stupider and stupider solutions, I think, as we go.
I think if you are going to do slaps, then you have to knock the person out. If I knock you out, then the beef is settled. Because I knocked you out, man. Like I knocked your lights out. It's over. I beat you on the mats and I knocked you out. If I hit you and you're like, oh, she don't even hit hard. This ain't shit. And then I defiantly the two next ones.
Sorry, I didn't know that when you said she don't even hit hard, it turned into some sort of offhand reference from Def Comedy Jam that you don't even know. Like you literally just took that from Bernie Mac. She don't even hit hard. Come say that to me, you damn kids. I ain't scared of you.
Late great Bernie Mac.
Yeah. The goat indeed.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, I don't think we have any finality here, but I'm pretty sure this just opens the door to future hijinks. I hope that they're slightly more creative than that, because otherwise we are going down a further ramp of silliness. That is just, what are we doing here? Nonetheless, yeah. I'm going to move on to our next topic before I continue to talk about it before I go to WrestleMania. Look at this. Tim's really going out of his way to point out something here. It looks like you have mentioned silver as the topic headliner here, but it says that Jones Steveson, bridesmaid no more. So it does appear that Craig Jones, it was not an April Fool's joke. He is making a very, very big appeal to go after one Gable Steveson. But having said that, you've also got what looks like Felipe Pena in this photo. So what is the story and the connection to Felipe in this Craig Jones and Gable Steveson story?
I think that's Gable in the photo. At least it's supposed to be Gable.
Oh,
maybe
that's a Felipe Pena. I am very familiar with what
I might have missed it.
Gable is supposed to.
I might have loaded up the wrong.
I think you might have. You definitely have a Craig Jones in here, but like Tim, I know we both wear glasses. It's just I do have concerns when you do see somebody who is clearly Felipe Pen in the little box up there.
All Latinos look alike, man. Yeah, I can't. Including my sons.
Sure.
Listen,
can I ask this? Okay, clearly this is a wrong photo situation, but now I have to put you to task with the remaining 136. I need you to come up with a fake scenario that inserts Felipe Pena into this story somehow now.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what happened. Essentially, Craig Jones, Gable Steveson, two guys that are, and I love you, Gable, just jokes, bro, that are very familiar with what it feels like to get silver, okay? Have conspired together to ensure that one of them will leave a bridesmaid no more. They will come out with a gold. If they fight each other, one of them's got to win. Now, this was the plan. All right. It was set into motion. It was leaked out on the internet, and this was the idea. And then Gordon Jealous Ryan, who can't stand that Craig is generating more attention than he is, basically got in his new best friend since our last ADCC. We've seen the love fest on Instagram. Got in Felipe's ear and said, hey, man, do me a favor. I don't want either of these guys to win. We need to push Gable out and push you in. And so the latest update is that Pena has apparently made a call out to Craig Jones, and he's fighting for that. And he says, look, you guys are silver medal scumbags. One of you's got to fight a real champ. And, you know, this is how he showed up on the photo, Raph. I don't make the news. I just give my take on it.
So you say these things, and allow me to see if I can clean up part of this at the very least. So don't believe any of that, everybody. But what I can tell you is, yes, Craig versus Gable is the discussion. If I were to have shoehorned Felipe Pena in there, I would have said they pulled the WWE and decided at the last minute it's a three-way match, which would make it kind of interesting because those are very, very different styles of jiu-jitsu and grappling and wrestling all mixed into one. Like, nobody could stall. Everybody has to pull guard. Like, you put in weird sort of things that swerve the audience. But nonetheless, I have to tell you, the foolishness of Craig doing this on April Fool's was like, okay, he's just doing this as a gag. And then we're made to take it very seriously because he says, no, it's for real. And the hard part for me on it, like April Fool's Day, I don't talk to anybody. I'm just in a place of don't do your bullshit with me. Like, the headlines every day I wake up to are already shit right now. So I don't need the rest of the jiu-jitsu community putting their collective Emile Fisher brain together to say, like, how do we get one over on everybody?
You called out Emile Fisher. That's great.
It's Emile's one day that he gets excited to put up some dumb post. And I swear to God, when he was writing for the Jiu-Jitsu Times, he would make a habit of saying the most outlandish thing. And it was just like, he would send me a note. I want to say he sent me this. Emile, you can tell me if this is wrong. But he would be like, do you see that? And I go, I don't care. And I feel bad saying that, but it's the truth. I would just be like, I don't care about your foolishness. Have fun doing what it is. I'm just not going to participate. And I'm somebody who likes good jokes. I don't think April Fool's does good jokes. I think for the most part, people just put shitty things that they want you to believe. And it's like a formula they fill in where they say A plus B equals laugh. And it's not usually very good.
Yeah.
So nonetheless,
it's the day when people who are not funny get to try to be funny.
Yeah, that's really fucking annoying. But nonetheless, it is one of the days that Emile would just relish. And I was always like, oh, good for you, kid. But nonetheless, for everybody else who does them, because a lot of people do them, you think it fits the Bugs Bunny brand for Craig. And then I was thinking, I was like, are you really on this? Or are you not really on this? I don't know. And then come to find out a day or so later, he's like, no, it's really what we're trying to push here. And I thought, that's kind of interesting because it does court that wrestling audience, and Craig doing it in his way that sounds like shit talking. But to everybody who knows him knows he doesn't care. But him being like, a lot of people are saying that wrestling is an elite sport, but wrestling you can defeat just by sitting down is like, okay, he's really trying to get under the skins of the collective wrestling community, which is not hard to do. But is it effective? Maybe. I don't know. So him going after that audience is intriguing. I don't know exactly what the payoff is. I don't know how many of those people come in to watch our sport, but I can tell you one thing. The ratings for Gable were really high, and they did push up on ESPN for record ratings in the past 5 years. So probably not a bad investment for somebody that Bo Nickel couldn't have guessed would have attracted the most number of views. So there is a science to it. Like, despite the missing brain cells that we do see from Craig on occasion, there is a method to that madness. So I'm intrigued to see what he's trying to pull from it. And if they land Gable or they've already done it and this is just kind of a slow play out, okay, that could be very interesting for the sport. So I guess the question is, Tim, is that something you would want to see?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would want to see it. I don't want to see Craig do real matches anymore. Anyway, I want to see him do novelty matches. I think that is his sweet spot. I really do. I don't want to see him train hard and eat right and get off drugs and stop smoking cigarettes and drink light beer. I don't want to see that Craig. I want to see Craig go full potato and then just take exhibition. I want to see him fight both Rotolo brothers at the same time. That's what I want to see. I want to see that kind of stuff.
So we're talking mid-movie Jackie Moon, Will Ferrell fighting a bear kind of stuff. Like, this is him doing sideshow nonsense. Like, don't give me Craig Jones trying to win ADCC. Don't give me Craig Jones trying to win an IBJJF medal. Give me Craig Jones versus a freight train to see who flinches first. Like, that's the stuff you want to see.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great idea when you're marketing an event. You have the marquee matchup or you have the big tournament, right? And then you give them something else to look forward to. CJI won. It was Craig versus Gabby. And oh, by the way, I bought Gordon's Miata. I'm giving it away. So there were three things people were like, I really want to see this. I want to see it. I think it's a smart move. You kind of give yourself two big opportunities to go viral. Um, Smart thing, man. He's doing it right. That this is a play out of WWE's handbook.
Like I said, I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. There's a lot we don't know, but if this is the move they're making, it would bring in some new people, I think. And I think that's kind of the idea, is how do we get some of those eyeballs that come from somewhere else? And yeah, if they made record ratings for ESPN, we'll take some of those gladly. Especially if they put this on YouTube for free again, it's just another opportunity to make something very exciting. So we'll see. But the only reservation I have here is I don't see a world in which Gable's like, yeah, I'll just do jiu-jitsu. Because how does that work? Like Craig saying you can defeat wrestling just by sitting down. And Gable being like, how does this make me look good? There has to be a medium. So it has to be like in the contract or in the dealings that he's having with them. He has to say like, yeah, for 2 minutes, I'm going to stand up with you so you can get suplex highlights. There has to be something that makes it interesting from the rule set. Otherwise, it's just setting it up for some kind of failure. So I'm waiting for whatever the hook is, if they both agree to this, that kind of meets in the middle. Because really, if Gable comes to do our world and is trying to pass guard, he might have a good cartwheel pass. I'll give him that. But I think it could set it up for a slight amount of disappointment. So I reserve my excitement just to hearing what the rule set is, because if Craig is just going to, like, if it's 4 and 4, say it's an 8-minute match, it's got to be 4 minutes wrestling, 4 minutes jiu-jitsu. We're kind of getting closer almost to that Gordon Bo Nickel. It's going to be one match like this, one match like that sort of stuff. But having said that, it is a guy who is getting a lot of headlines. So we'll see. And who, no disrespect, has some free time on his hands. So it does seem like it could work for all parties. But speaking of which, why don't we go to our next topic, which is this. There is a brand here that says reform. Now there's some takedowns and shakeups. When you say reform, takedowns and shakeups, Tim Freeman, I ask you, what exactly?
Well, the first one, procedural kind of change in the rules. I guess not procedural. It's an elimination of a couple moves that were previously available in ADCC. So that is, and this is, I believe these do not apply at the expert level. I think these are mostly for the opens. No slams, so you can't slam to get out of a sub. We know there is the famous highlight of Gio Martinez slamming Jeff Glover to get out of the triangle that Jeff had him in. Every time I watch that video, it's the look of surprise and disappointment in Jeff's face. I don't think Jeff thought Gio would slam him. That was personally the way it looked to me. But anyway, no slams and no scissor takedowns, which, you know, is kind of common in most rule sets, to be honest with you. Some say you can't jump guard. That might be the additional one. In terms of shakeups, there's been some rumblings in the jiu-jitsu world for a minute. We barely alluded to them because some things you're not at liberty to talk about. And one of those things that has recently been put out there into the world is that Flow Grappling has a new GM, and he's actually a friend of mine named Ben Kovacs. He's the founder of Guardian Gym, which is a nonprofit that provides free jiu-jitsu training for kids, not just in the United States, all over now. They're international, and they're continuing to grow. They're building a really awesome facility right now that they're working on internationally. And so they're doing some cool things there. Ben has stepped in to run Flow Grappling, which is a pretty big deal because Flow Grappling has a lot of resources and a lot of great things, and it also has a lot of negative perception in the jiu-jitsu world. And I think this is a tremendous opportunity to change that. So I'm stoked to see it. And anything that we can do to help, like, we don't hate flow grappling. We just want to see it better. We love jiu-jitsu. So I think this is a great opportunity, Raph.
I think you're right. And I'm glad you said that, because over the years, I have seen some very thin-skinned people who have not been able to distinguish the difference between, hey, I'm a paying customer and I'd love to see it be better, and, so you hate us? No, that's not what it is. We just wanted to be better. And I mean, we're in a place where people are going to get way, way weirder about their cutting cord policies. Like, you're already seeing people start to cut the cord from their cable companies in record numbers, but yet still do subscription-based services. I think the next thing that happens is when people start to cord cut those subscription-based services. And that's where we have some skepticism about the future. Like, obviously, everybody's going that way. You probably won't cancel your ESPN as long as UFC's there, but nobody loves the fact that it keeps raising every couple of years. The one thing that they have on their side is you at least see constant content. On the flow grappling side, smaller divisions, a good amount of people working on it for sure, but it will be harder to justify higher prices in a climate where everybody's, the tariffs, girl. These tariffs be hurting that wallet. It's just
tariffs are killing jiu-jitsu, man.
I mean, it is. And we're only seeing the beginnings of it. So, having said that, we welcome a new organizer on Flow. We hope that things go better there. As a consumer of it, I want it to be better, and we're always happy to pitch in and give suggestions. But please understand that hate is reserved for people who are truly on the internet and have nothing better to do. And I guarantee you this, no matter how much we love jiu-jitsu and we're bitching about it, we do have better things to do. Like, Tim needs to go teach class in a little bit. He's got stuff to do. We have grown people with responsibilities, but we make the time because we love the sport. And when that happens, we get very excited to talk about it. So yeah, some of this passion is going to get real funny real quick, but we wish you good luck. And in terms of some of these outlined and banned sort of things, when I saw that they're taking away the power bombs, I go, why even compete in ADCC? I thought that was the fun part of it. Now, granted, I don't want it happening to me, so I think it's a good thing. Nonetheless, I don't really compete in ADCC Open, so I don't necessarily have a dog in that fight. I just love being able to see the highlights the next day and be like, ooh, who got powerbomb? Oh, that was fun. Or seeing if that is a person who's really interested in hitting those kind of like flying scissor takedowns. That's one of the few places you could do it. So there was a part of me that was wondering if we should be making one of those memes where it's the ADCC slowly turning into the IBJJF, and like you see it like fade slowly into like the very famous blue and gold. But nonetheless, hey, listen, I hope it keeps everybody safe. I want everybody to go out there and be able to compete, but it does mean that it will require a higher degree of effectiveness. If you are one of those people who hits those moves, there are fewer and fewer places. So that means that if you do get the time to shine, you really have to make the most out of that time. So good luck to you guys on that, because that looks like one where if you mess up the wrong way, your opponent's probably not going to see jiu-jitsu mats for about a good 9 months to a year. Here's the good news. You put up this photo, and I can think of no better way to present a serious topic here in the world of jiu-jitsu than by arguing, well, we just mentioned some rule changes. Apparently, there is a rule that I was not really aware of in jiu-jitsu, but it does appear that you cannot go commando at the IBJJF. Here with more, Tim will inform you as to what some of those repercussions may be.
You could always tell when I pick a topic. So famous, or I should say infamously, Bill Cooper, the great product of Frangina, Paragon Jiu-Jitsu out of the Central Coast in California. He was disqualified years ago in a match against Otavia Souza. Gi Jiu-Jitsu has this really lame thing, which is the jacket and the pants are they're literally tied together with the string. They're constantly coming apart. Okay. Cooper's gi pants got pulled down. And it's kind of like one of those classic, Ric Flair style matches where his opponent kind of pulls his trunks down a little bit in the back, trying to grab him, and he shows his ass crack, and he doesn't know, and the crowd's laughing at him. Cooper was pulling that off. Basically, he got DQ'd for it. They're like, "Whoa, you don't have underwear on." They DQ'd him, and then they made a rule. And from that point after, it was known as the Bill Cooper rule, which is, look, bro, don't be uncouth. If you're going to compete, wear some chonies, man. Don't be a disgraceful Luddite. Like, put some underwear on. Nobody wants to deal with what you got going on under there. None of us do. So this rule got enacted at Pans. It was in the finals. I don't have the athlete's name, but the ref peeked through that little triangle slit that's kind of on the side, where the rope goes on your gi pants. And he's like, I don't see a Fruit of the Loom's waistband on this dude. And so he called time, did a little quick check, and was like, bruh, you have violated the Bill Cooper rule, man. DQ'd him on the spot. Trumpet Dan went to Twitter or Instagram with that and blew it up and was like, oh, check it out. It's like, oh, man, the Bill Cooper rule rears its ugly head. I don't know about you, Raph. You tell me. For me personally, you cannot train jiu-jitsu commando. That, especially no gi, but in the gi as well. It's just wrong.
This is tricky. I'm a big believer in being able to have your First Amendment rights and all those bullshit sort of things. But I do think sometimes you have to draw the line and say, like, hey, bud, can you put on some clothes? Because that's what keeps this a civilized sport. Having said all of this, where does the blame lie? Follow me on this, Tim. The IBJJF makes a big point to let you know when you can't wear a certain gi and you got to go buy one of the gis that's upstairs at one of those booths. There are checks, there are procedures that are made to be so that you don't have to go out there and wear the wrong gi and get disqualified. And yet there's no checks for underwear. So I'm saying here, is the responsibility on the person competing, or is there some blame for the IBJJF when they do their checks? How thorough are those checks? Did a bomb get through the TSA here is what I'm asking. Because now that I'm thinking about it is, I'm wondering, Tim, and don't take this the wrong way, but at the rates you have to pay for the IBJJF, you know what? I don't know that I can tell someone exactly how they're supposed to compete. And it does bug me because I'm like, I wouldn't roll with somebody like that. And I think that somebody may feel uncomfortable with that sort of a thing. But I thought this was America, people. And IBJJF is charging so much. Maybe people can't afford the underwear they need to go out there, if you really think about it. So I hear these things. I hear the arguments. I do believe what you're saying to be true. But I'm also wondering, there's always 40 checks you have to go through. And I have seen people get disqualified for not wearing the right uniform. Would that not include checking the underwear? And does that get uncomfortable for the underwear checker? Sure. But we saw there's a gi checker that literally lines it up. So you know what the IBJJF could do next is, this is really just an opportunity for them to put on a underwear checker coming soon to the IBJJF store that makes sure that you're wearing some chonies. And I cannot tell you this, but I do guarantee it'll be $50. So that's kind of my initial thoughts on this one, Tim. It is perhaps one of the more absurd stories, but it was one that I said, like, yeah, dude, you should be wearing underwear. But also, given the IBJJF's bitchiness to a lot of their policies, I could see why somebody would not try to do it. And I guess the other question is, to the competitor, now that we've talked about it logistically, Why? Like, I don't know if you really need to go into your personal lives here, but can you just explain why no underwear?
Forgot it. Dog ate it.
No, I'm pretty sure you still feel it. Like, you didn't just forget it and it just like slipped your mind. Like, oops, it didn't
Look,
happen.
man,
This was a
I had on.
very concerted plan that happened. I guess the intentionality here is what I'm trying to figure out. So why did you do it? And then what service does that do? Is he like, I pass better this way. I don't like being bunched up this way. Okay. I just want to understand the perspective because I don't. So I feel like that is my response.
It's possible. Two things, two responses to your responses, because I think you hit the nail on the head with the opportunity to have an underwear checker. And I think what you can do is have a more premium version of the gi checker tool that has a spring-loaded trigger, because it's already in the shape of one of those garbage picker uppers. And they could just put that tool down the backside, grab the underwear band, and just give a little mini wedgie. Just pull it up. You got it. Let it go. You're good. Now, to the competitor's defense, he could have been wearing edible underwear. It could have disintegrated when he started sweating. He might have started the match with underwear on. Disintegrated. Gets DQ'd. For all we know, he passed the undie check.
But again, it's just this dude got away with it and then probably thought he was home free. And then a referee who, by the way that you describe it was not far off from how I read it, where they're just like, how did that happen? How did he find it? It's like, ooh, he found it in that little slit. It's like, first of all, slutty description.
Yes, but it's very true. It's true. We know exactly what he's talking about.
So this referee was looking for some tramp stamps here, and then instead found the gold that told him, guess what? I got to disqualify this dude because I don't think he's got any drawers on. And then went up to him and said, excuse me, sir, can I see your undergarment? And he's like, sir, I'm not wearing them. Well, sir, you are disqualified then. Like, this is some weird ass shit that I didn't think the other person who's the opponent thought he had subscribed to. I'm pretty sure this dude also paid his dues and thought, I'm just trying to compete, man. Least I could ask is this dude wear some underwear. Would be cool if he did, but he's not doing it. So it's getting weird now. So I think the absurdity of the entire story was it found its way onto a couple reporting sites, then the social media. And as it happened, I just let out this big laugh because I go, this is stupid all the way around. There's no getting around it. There's no way to do it. But I go, it's perfect for us, so we can do what we do. Having said that, Bujigatami, the esteemed Bujigatami says, don't be uncouth, cover your gooch.
That's the tagline on the commercial for the gi checker.
Don't give him that. I just want to make sure that we're very clear. Person who's not wearing underwear. By you not wearing the underwear, you invite comments like this. So, I didn't do it. The internet provided it for us. Granted, he kind of works here and it's hard to explain, but yes, he is a part of the show by proxy. But nonetheless, I did not prompt him to say that. That was on his own volition and accord. He will write something in the comment section that says he did it on his own free will and testament. Nonetheless, we move on. I still can't believe that was a topic. But I guess it was inevitable it would come up. Hey, guess what? You can't do that on ice. Hey, if you're a parent and you don't want to take your kids to Disney on ice, guess what? There are other things you can and cannot do on the ice that could be just as exciting. Here with more, Tim Freeman.
Well, you've heard of Frozen, very popular musical. Children love it. They love the songs. They sing them. They love the characters. They love all the names. I'm grateful my kids were already kind of grown when that came out. Otherwise, I probably have it stuck in my head. But have you heard of Frozen? Slightly different. This is when NHL hockey players do judo on ice skate. Look, it's bad enough to get thrown. by a judo throw, like a judo throw that's done with full authority and aggression. It's scary when you're on the receiving end of it. But to have it happen on ice skates, and the throw that this was Jalen Chatfield. He's a defenseman for the Carolina Hurricanes. He used an Osoto Gari on ice and he set it up. He pulled the dude around, and the guy, look, man, you can't stop yourself from getting pulled when you're on ice skates. He pulled his opponent around to the side and then stepped behind him and hit Osoto, which Osoto Gari, when you get hit with a clean Osoto, man, it is a straight up slam right onto your back. Dude, Chatfield hits it on ice. I should have screen capped some of the comments, because this was just in the regular sporting world. It wasn't like necessarily a judo, jiu-jitsu, grappling news item. It was an NHL news item. The comments on it were fantastic. Number one is most people don't know what the hell judo is, but they recognize that that was some kind of martial artsy throw, right? So there was a lot of like, this is the NHL, this is some bush league stuff, we don't do that here, what the hell is that guy thinking, this ain't WWE. Pretty devastating move. And again, I remind you, on ice skates, on ice, try to break fall that.
Hold on. I don't love the fact that the NHL is acting all high and mighty. You're the sport that likes to let people go
Fight.
at each other, and you like to pride yourself on it. I still am never clear on what the rules for engagement are. I just think it's like, if somebody wants to throw down and it's a day that ends in Y, all bets are off. You go do what you need to do. Having said that, now it's like, ooh, clutch the pearls. Ooh, not on ice. There's only fisticuffs in our sport. We are sophisticated. Get the fuck out of here. This is what you invite. If somebody knows what they're doing and they're a little bit trained, not even well trained, they can really create some big damage here. It's part of the reason why, whenever you see this from the civilian group, if you would, of not training the martial arts, what did you expect? We don't discriminate. I mean, you could look at us. We don't discriminate against a lot of people from coming to train with us. So don't be surprised if the person you're picking on might have some training. Nonetheless, when you see this, as Tim has mentioned, as a jiu-jitsu instructor who has recognized and has done some of these throws, he's trying to warn you, like, this is a bad choice on ice. Like, to get thrown like this, it's not fun. Let alone when I used to do it with my team, and we would have puzzle mats, and they go, we're doing judo today. I was like, you guys can. I'm out. This back is not doing it on those puzzle mats. Have fun. That's on puzzle mats. Now add ice. Now add the fact that you have skates that you're going on. And if you roll the wrong way, maybe you start creating something that creates blood as a result of it. Who knows what you can do? But don't act like you're surprised. That's like, ooh, we're on ice now. I didn't know we would hit the floor like that. Like, get the fuck out of here. You said punch each other until we say, all right, you guys, you boys have had enough. Get away from each other. That's the game. So, shut up, or don't let them fight. Or let them fight. Do whatever you want, but just don't pretend like you're surprised by this. It's like imagining you go to Roadhouse and you're like, a fight broke out at Roadhouse? It's like, what did you think? Patrick Swayze was trying to tell you, don't come here. And yet you came here thinking it was just going to be a regular night of drinking? No, you wanted a fight, sir. So, just to let you guys know that one. We move on to our fight of the week. Tim, I don't even know if I want to ask, but as always, I saw a little snippet of it as I was loading it up here, but I noticed it's about a minute long of a clip. Just from the seconds that I saw on it, it looks like gold. But what can you tell us about this week's fight of the week?
A lot of these you have to take them in, but it appears like maybe this is the launch of like a South American's entry into an international hot air balloon race. or something like that. It's very festive. There's a lot of ropes. They're going up in the air. You never see what they're tethered to. And there's fighting going on, but around the fighting, there's some people watching the fighting, and there's some people that literally do not care at all that 3 feet behind them, there is a fight going on, because these other people came to have a good time and they're going to have a good time. They work their ass off. They still don't make enough. And it's Friday night and they're dancing. And it's a great video. It goes on for a minute. Cops get involved, but it's pretty great, man. I think you're going to like it.
Tim, listen, I'm not going to say the video is not going to be great. The pitch, the description you just gave, you sounded like a nervous intern who's just trying to pitch his movie to the head of the movie studio. It's like, okay, it's kind of cool. It's a little weird, but don't judge it. Some people, they're living their lives, but then something happens midway through, conflict, and a resolution at the end, and maybe we play some Modest Mouse in between on a fight scene.
I really try not to taint your perception of it ahead of time. So I'm trying to be vague, but I'm trying to give, like, I sound like I'm trying to make up a story to a cop, basically. But, you know what I mean? Like, I'm on my way to my grandma's, officer.
Just imagine if Jim Cameron had not really fleshed out the screenplay to Titanic and was like, okay, Titanic, we all know the story, iceberg, but Leo DiCaprio is poor, Kate Winslet not. They have things. They get together hot, steamy in a buggy in the thing, and then, love,
profit,
loss, heart of the ocean. You're like, give this man $300 million. Let's do it. Fuck it. So, all right, Tim, having said that, take your first crack at this. I'll play it for you right now.
So here we go. You can see that it looks like they're launching a hot air balloon. And then these ladies in the front decide that no, they are going to launch each other. And I'm impressed by throwing down in their Western wear. For all I know, this could be slightly off Broadway in Nashville, the way these folks are dressed. They're getting after it. What really jumps out to me is there's 2 gentlemen a little bit further back to the right, and they're just dancing the entire time. They're right to the right of the dude with the cowboy hat who's kind of up on someone's shoulders filming. These chicks are just fighting, and these dudes to the side are dancing. And right when you think the fight's going to break up, lady on the left says, cop or no cop, I don't care if you have a mask on or what, I'm getting mines. And she jumps back in and takes a shot, which I love the after fight pot shot. I'm a big fan of it. Nobody sees it coming. And it's like, you're basically, the fight breaks down into, I want to knock you out, to, I want to get the last tap.
Yeah.
And that's basically what you're trying to do.
All right, allow me to bring my years of experience here. This is right up my alley, Tim. Cowboy hats aside, this feels like a night in West Covina to me. In my youth. Here we go. All right, first of all, let me tell you, I recognize there's about 14 girls in this. I can guarantee 3 of them are named Natalie. Nonetheless, my favorite is this dude taking collateral damage here, because watch him. That face, that grimace, he knows he's about to get hit. And yet 3, 2, you take that one. I don't even like you. And like, I don't think she had anything against that dude. I think she's just like, how dare you hold me back? Don't ever hold me back, okay? So now this dude, he can't really hit her. But this girl's got enough time to brush her hair, which tells you she's not involved in the fight in a meaningful way. But guess what? She's about to get made in by Mexican Mila Kunis over here, who's feeling her feels and letting her guy know this is not cool. Nobody signed up for this. But dude, the wind up on these is so spectacularly amazing that she hit a windmill. No, she's the only person in life to ever hit a windmill punch. Because look at this. I take that. Okay, bye. So this dude in the background is still texting people. I don't know if you can see the hat back here. He's dipping his
Oh
head to
yeah,
be
hat
like,
down.
hey, Holmes, this is like the best night we've ever had out this way. 2 seconds later, you think calmer voices will prevail, but now the dude who was texting is straight out dancing. Look at this dude on the background. You were talking about one dude dancing. This dude is keeping rhythm to the punches with his 1-2 salsa beat. This dude's filming it over here, over to the far left. And I just love the dude who's up here about the vibes. Dude with the red cell phone. That's really the rest of the way we should be living our lives. So, you ever get hit for telling someone a good idea? Don't worry. Homegirl's friend certainly did. She, I can most assure you, tells her, don't stop hitting you. Don't hit me, you stupid. You stupid right now. So, thus, everybody seems to calm down. There's a little bit of a mechanism. Dude gets hit one more time for good measure. And then look, the shadiest of the cops comes in.
He just crawls out of the crowd, actually.
It's just,
that? He just appeared.
The fact
He's like Chris Elliott living under the stage on Letterman.
The fact that this dude slid in so easily
Look
is
at this.
the funniest thing. Like, this dude glides in 3, 2. All right, now's my time to come in. So this dude's, I have to bring this up. It's very rare that you see somebody try to break up a fight like Michael Jackson in the Beat It music video, but literally doing like this 1 and 2, looking at both of them. Like, no, don't fight each other. Let's do smooth jazz together in unison. So nonetheless, we're about to get to the end of this fight here, Tim. But if we forward to where we left off, everybody's in a vote, everybody's in a zone, and then guess what? That one last punch, dude slides in, lets them know, everybody chill the fuck out, everybody go home. But nobody's getting past the fact that this dude is wearing the sideways man purse here. So God bless him, because that's the easiest thing you can snag at one of these concerts. But everybody here lets it go. And dude, this last hit, we talked about the windmill hit that she hit a little bit earlier. This is the best door knock disguised as a punch I've ever seen. Watch that. This is the, hey, rent's due, knock on the door. 3, 2.
That's a chancla slap.
Absolutely. So, Tim, I have to say this. That was an immaculate find. Congratulations to you and or whatever person who may have helped you find that one. Nonetheless, we should be plugging our stuff so that we can circle this out. But Tim, tell the people where they can find you, sir.
Catch me on Inside BJJ, all your favorite social media platforms. If you're out in Nashville, come see us at 10th Planet Nashville. And if you are in Northern California, out in Stockton, check out my homies at 10th Planet Stockton. Raph, great show, man. Always good to be on with you, brother.
Likewise, sir. Great work today. We appreciate you, and I'll go ahead and close this up. Ladies and gents, thank you for joining us here on another installment of The Bullpen. My name is Raph Esparza. You just watched an hour's worth of shenanigans and fun. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like us, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to these channels. You can find me at the Grappling Hour. You can find Tim at Inside BJJ. We both have Patreons. You can find me at patreon.com/Grappling Hour, where you'll see my interviews 30 days before everybody else. And for a few extra dollars, which supports the show, you can see tape studies with the athletes going over their matches with me. You can also see a comment section called Roast Raph, where people roast my competition footage. And there's a segment we just filmed where is the Grappling Hour Challenge, where we give a submission to a black belt, and they have 2 minutes to hit the submission on me. And our good friend Chris Wojcik just did an installment of that, and that is going up literally today in minutes. So go check that. Last but not least, Esparza.com/merch to buy you some Grappling Hour gear. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. We appreciate you for hanging out with us. We'll be back soon. I don't know if we're back this Friday. I'm going to WrestleMania next week, so we got to figure out some scheduling clues. But we also wanted to send a note here from Kevin. Kevin Sherrill says to say he looks forward to seeing us very, very soon. He's a little bit busy, but we'll be seeing him, I know, very soon in the future. But that's going to do it for us here at the Bullpen. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.